In this video, I'll show you how to connect a solution, a Power App solution, to a Git repository. Now, as you see over here, this is a solution area. Now, as you see over here, these are the list of solutions, and we get a button to connect to Git repository. Now, if I scroll down, you can see that some of the solutions are already connected to Git repository. So once it is connected to Git repository, you will see this green icon next to it. Now, there are multiple ways to connect the solution. Now, I'll start from scratch. I'll go into other solutions. So maybe let me go into, say, Girish UAD. Now, as you see over here, this solution is not connected to Git. And I have quite a few solutions which I will be connecting it to a Git. Now I have an option. So how do I connect to Git? It's like if I select this solution, if I click on three dots, then as you see over here, there is like I don't find any current options to connect to Git repository. However, if you see on the top over here in the top menu, you have create a plan, export solution, deploy, and as you see over here, you cannot directly connect to a Git repository from here. Now, if I remove this selection, I can connect to Git. Okay. Now, before we even we haven't connected our environment to a Git repository. So first step is to connect to a Git repository. Now, before we even connect to a Git repository, we need to know which repository we need to connect it to. So for that, what we're going to do, we're going to first set up that environment. So I'm in portal.azure.com. Now in portal.azure.com, you will find something called as Azure DevOps organization. Or maybe alternatively, you can navigate to say dev.azure.com. So let me navigate to dev.azure.com. Now it will take you to sign into the portal.azure.com, and again you will land in that same screen. So as you see over here, I'm logging into portal.azure.com. It will authenticate my credential and then it will take you to that same screen. Okay. So if I click on Azure DevOps organization, it will first show me the list of Azure DevOps organization my account belongs to. So if I click on my Azure DevOps organization, it will list down all the organization which I am part of. So as you see over here, currently there is one organization which I am part of. However, there is an option whereby I can select the organization. So currently it is MSFT. So okay, now I can create a new organization, or maybe I can uh, use an existing organization and create project within it. Now this is the organization. So I have quite a few project listed over there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just click on new project, as this is like a new environment. So I'll just call it as a new project and I'll say, so let me authenticate. And let me call this project as a UAT Git repos project. So I'm just given some name. Okay. Now, in advance, you will see version control as Git, work item process, depending on your organization's process which you follows. You can select Agile, CMMI, Scrum. I'll keep it the default, and I can put some description around it. Click on create. So we have created a new project in an organization. So the organization which I had, so I've created this project, UAT Git repos project. And if you go into the repos, make sure that this repository is initialized. So I'll go over here and I'll initialize the repository. Whatever thing you want, whether you want a readme, whether you want to add a git ignore, you can do that. But this is the important step. You initialize the repository so that the repository is ready to be connected. And once this is done, go into the Power Apps. Now here, this is the environment, Girish UAT. Now, as I mentioned to you that this is all not connected to Git, if I select this, I do not see any option to connect to a Git repository. So I just need to take off the selection and click on connect to Git. So the first step is we will be connecting an environment or a solution. So connection type is environment or solution. So let's pick up environment. Now, what do you mean by environment is you connect all the solution in this environment to the same repository, branch, and folder in source control. Solution, you can connect different solutions in this environment to different branches and folders in source control solutions in this environment. So it says the solutions in this environment cannot be connected to different repositories. So if you select this option, you cannot connect the solution in this environment cannot be connected to different repository. Now I'll just pick up, say, maybe the first option. Okay, so environment. So let's start with this organization. So I'll just select the organization which I belong to. So this is the right one, and it will list down all the projects. Okay, now remember, like in your case, if you're connecting it for the first time, very first time, it will ask you to authenticate. Then it will pick up the organization. Now the project which we have already created, why we created beforehand, because we want that project to be in the list over here. So it has come up UAT git repos project. And now from a repository perspective, it will take that same name, UAT git repos project. Now why this has appeared, because we have initialized the repository, and that's why you see this option. Then we have an option to select a branch. By default, if you go into the repository, you will see that there is a main branch. Now you have an option to create another branch, depending on how complex your repositories are. So there is an option, but we'll keep it simple. We'll select the main branch. We can create a new branch from here as well. And in the git folder, we need to actually specify what folder name do you want. So we can just call this as UAT for time being, because we are connecting an environment that's at a higher level, environment level. Now you will understand the purpose of this, so make sure that you name it correctly. So the git folder name, I'm just kept it UAT. This is at a very root level. I'll click on connect. Now once all the configuration information are set, it will start making a connection to the git repository. Now, environment is successfully connected to Git. There is a hyperlink over here. If I click over here, it will open the DevOps, and then it will take me to the DevOps. Now, in Azure DevOps, you will see that at a root level, we have a folder called as UAT, which we have just created, and it does not contain anything. It is just readme.md file. Okay, now let's pick up this solution. Okay, auto number flow. Now, as you see over here, it says enable for source control. Okay, so we have this button over here, and uh, if I click on this three dot over here, let me first select this item and enable for source control. Okay, so let's see if this option is available. It says, okay, environment successfully connected to Git. So just with a click of a button, this environment is connected to a Git. Now, if I again click on this, okay, uh, so let me just take off all the messages off. Okay, now if I again click on another solution, I can go ahead and click on enable for source control, and then that solution will be part of that git repository. But let's see what happened exactly over here. So first let's explore the solution. So auto number flow, so what do I have over here is a solution. I believe I have a cloud flow and a connection reference over here. Now on the left hand side, you will see an option like that is called a source control. So go to the source control, and here you will see that, oh, there is a solution, there is a workflow, there is a connection reference, there is a publisher. So these are the changes, and there's no update, there's no conflict. So when ready, commit your changes to Git, check for updates to pull others changes into this environment. So what does this mean is currently you have a solution within Power Apps. So this is say Power Apps, and this is your Git repository. So we are have all the solution in Power Apps, and this is Git. Now first set, we have already set up Git. We have something in Power Apps. Now we need to commit this information in the Git repository, so that Git will also get all the items what we have over here. And say, take for example, if you upload something in Git repository, you need to pull that information. So you can even do that using this option. So we have this commit option through which all the information can be pushed. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's see what the repository contains. So currently the repository is just a folder, and if you want to see all the commits, so this is the first commit which we did when creating a file folder. So click on commit, and I'll just say first ever commit. Make sure that you put a meaningful name. So this is the first time I'm committing, so I'll just say first ever commit, and it will commit the changes into the source repository. So it's commit successful, and this is the ID. And if you want to navigate, you can navigate from here itself. So if I click on this icon, it will show me that, oh, this is the commit number, and these are the file which got published. Okay. Now we have so many instances open of Git repository. Let me close all these things which I don't want. Yeah. So let me go into the files, and here you will see we have a UID folder, and then these are the solution files, right? Like the connection references. So it has created a folder for it. Then we have a modern flows. Then we have a publishers. So which publisher? The publisher which I have used for the solution is Giri USA. Then there is a solution component. So solution component is auto number flow, and then these are the things. Okay, so as you see over here, that at a root repository we have a solution, we have a publisher, we have all the modern flows, and we have a connection reference. So this is created at an environmental level. Okay, now if you want to see what does the publisher contains, so it has created a separate folder for it. And if I go into publisher.yml, the YAML file, you can actually see the unique name, you can see the language code, you can see all the details about the publisher. Like if you'd have put address, and if you put some contact information, you would have seen over here. Modern flows, these are the cloud flows, so it will get the GUID, and with the GUID as a folder, it will put the workflow.yaml file. So there's nothing much in that flow, but you can see the YAML and the corresponding JSON for that flow. And from a solution perspective, it will list down the missing dependency YAML, root component YAML, solution YAML, and so on and so forth. So we have just committed one solution. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what happens if I commit any other solution. Okay. So let me see if I have any flow. So I think I have this force sync users. So this is another solution. Yeah. So I think I do not have anything over here. Let me add an existing, maybe a table, and see if I have anything. So maybe account or maybe airport. Let me add that, and let me include all objects. So I'm adding a couple of tables in the solution and just checking whether I will be able to update this or not. So if I go into the source solution over here, it says source control components are processed in the background. Let me refresh this, and it will say, oh, there are two changes. Okay, now there are multiple ways to commit this solution. So let me go back and show it to you. Force sync user, if I select this force sync users, now as you see over here, this is now connected to Git. Okay, now let me create another solution. Like before I create another solution, let me go into the solution and let me commit this. Okay, so if I go into this solution, it has already added some changes, and it says source control components are being processed in the background. So let it process the information. So let, yeah, so there are around 36 component. Like as we have added all the component, it is slowly adding all this information. So we may not be able to update the information. However, we can view the Git connection. Now the Git connection is, again, it is type environment, organization, project, repository, branch, and the Git folder. And so it's still processing. In the meantime, let's go ahead and create another solution. So let me create another solution, which I'll call it as may end solution. And here we will add a simple web resource file. So I'll just say new more web resource. And I've added a simple web resource file. So this should be quick. So as you see over here, if I go into the solution control, changes are to may end solution, which is a solution, and there is a web resource file. Now let me go ahead and commit. Okay. So remember, this is the second solution we are committing. We have already created three solutions. First solution we committed. Second solution is still under processing. Third solution we are committing. So I'll just say quick commit web resource. Now it says it has committed. Let's go into the UAT repository again. Go back over here, files, and if you see at a root level you have UAT, and now we have a solution. Now within solution we have these two items. Okay. So now why I showed you couple of solution is just to give you a feel of what are the different types of solutions which are available, or different type of commits which are available. So if I go to force sync users, now let me go into this solution. I think it's still processing, so we can just skip that for a moment because I've added all those items. But the point which I'm trying to make over here is like, if you select this option, now in the git connection we have selected this option as connection type as environment. So what happens is you get a chance to pick up the root level folder, and then after that, any solution you connect to the git repository, what will happen is like it will create the corresponding resource level folders. Okay. And it can be across the solution, and say I have connected two solutions, so it will have two solutions over here. So if you connect five solution, you'll have five solution. If you connect 10 web resources, it will have corresponding 10 web resource folders. So this is a way of structuring. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to use another type of connection. So connection type was environment. Now this time we will create connection type as solution. Now last point which I want to make, now we have this web resources file over here. So this is a web resources file. Now any change you make, so if I make any change in the YAML file, make sure that you push those changes back. Okay. Now those changes will not be readily available within the Power Apps environment. You need to pull those changes. Okay. So if I go over here, may end solution, and if I go over here and let me refresh this, now there are no changes over here. uh, Let me do one thing. Let me go into the solution. So go to the objects and let me add another web resource file. So if I go to add a new web resource file, let me add say skyteam, click on save. And once this is uploaded, you will see that there are two changes, like changes has happened at a solution level and changes has happened to the web resource, but these changes will not be available over here. So even if you go over here, you will not find that. You will need to commit this information. So you will now have two web resource GUID. So once we commit this, you will find the another GUID listed over here. So that should be one more over here. So let me go back and web resource, and now as you see, this is the second web resource file which we have created. Now if you want to actually preview the item, you can click on it, and then you will see the actual resource file, the PNG file, and the corresponding YML. Now in the first one we use the contest logo, and then we have this web resource.yml. So in a nutshell, we have connected our Power App solution to a Git repository. We have used it at an environment level, and that's why at an environment level, you have a high level folder. You do not have an option to change the folder. Everything, every component gets stored as a part of their corresponding resource type. So you will see connection references stored in a connection references folder, irrespective of whichever solution it belongs to. Modern flows, then we have publisher, then we have solutions, and then we have web resources. So that's it, folks. This is how you basically connect your Git repository in an environment mode. Thanks for watching.